The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, and IDIS High Definition Surveillance Systems. Welcome to the fifth round of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. We're at the TT circuit in Assen for the Gamma Racing Day, the largest combined racing, karting and motorsport event in the Netherlands. And this year it was an even greater success, more than 100,000 fans visiting the track in the north of Holland. With free entry, beautiful summer weather and an extensive racing programme, there was plenty to draw fans from all over Europe. And the extra high turnout was partly due to this man. One Max Verstappen, the 17-year-old Formula One driver, has become world famous overnight, and it showed as thousands of Dutch fans turned up to catch a glimpse of their new hero. And of course, he gave an extensive demo with the Red Bull RB8 in Toro Rosso colours. A unique experience for the fans, but also for Max Verstappen. Really excited to be here with so many fans, he said. To give him a good F1 demo, fantastic in front of such a big crowd.
I'm
not fussed what people say about my age. My dream was to be in Formula One to race, and when you get to your goal, you start working hard, and age stops being relevant from that point on. One of Max Verstappen's close friends was also at the Gamma Racing Day, 17-year-old Max Cobalt. He races in the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli with the Davy Tech Engineering Volvo S60 V8. Well, the two grew up close together and grew up together in racing as well. So will Max Verstappen be keeping an eye on the other Max over the weekend? Of course, we're still good friends, we talk regularly, so I'll be following this weekend for sure. In this episode, we'll see how Max Cobalt and all the other drivers in SuperGT and GTB fare in the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli, round 5 of the championship here in Assen. In Super GT, Jeffrey van Hooijdonk and Nicholas van Dierendonck are 5 points ahead in the title race with their Chevy Corvette GT2, and they claim 2 further points before race 1 with pole position for both encounters. But, strangely enough, they're not yet satisfied.
We're
still struggling a little with the setup, says Jeffrey. Of course, the car's very good, but that's good for a quick lap. We need a setup now that works the entire race. Overnight, we changed the setup completely, so we'll have to see if it's better in this 60-minute race. And there's another challenge for me because Nicholas won't do the first race. He's having a problem with his neck. He's been advised not to race today, so I'll be doing the whole race on my own. And with the sun and the high temperatures, I'm bound to get baked, that's for sure. Before we look at the main race on Sunday, here's what happened on Saturday. Jeffrey van Hooijdonk ready to do the entire 60 minutes on his own. On the front row alongside Henry Zumbrink in the Volvo S60 V8, winner of 4 races so far from 8 this season. Row 2, Barry van Elk with the Mosler MT900R. Next to him, Roger Graals and the SRT Viper GT3R with the orange highlights there. Second in Super GT and 6 points behind the pole sitter. Max Cobalt lies in 5th as we take the rolling start for the hour-long encounter in Saturday's heat and sunshine. Easing ahead of the pole-sitting Corvette, but he's got the inside line. He goes into the lead into turn 1, Harbot. Third place, that's Max Cobalt in the blue Volvo, but look, Roger Graals retakes third place on the inside. Through he goes, and Barry van Elk in 5th position. A few laps later, the battle is on once more for third place. Max Cobalt, with a good run onto the straight, down into the first corner, takes third place away from Roger Graals in the Viper. He'll keep that until the pit stops, where he hands over to teammate for the weekend, Paul Stoffel. They drop back to 5th place. Henry Zumbrink keeps 2nd and finishes behind the race winner, Jeffrey van Hooijdonk. Barry van Elk in the Mosler is 3rd to the flag. Roger Graals 4th in the Viper. He drops further behind in the championship. But the damage is limited when it becomes clear that the stewards weren't aware that Jeffrey van Hooijdonk was driving solo. So the Corvette driver gets a time penalty, and that then hands the man who was 2nd at the checkered flag, Henry Zumbrink, his 5th win of the season.
Ja, dat is nummer 5. Ja.
Number 5, like I said before, as long as the car stays in one piece, we should be on the podium this weekend, and top spots better than ever. Car was perfect, very happy with the result. In the GTB class, Patrick Lamster and Donald Molinar led the championship by 9 points coming in here, which soon became 8 when Milan Doncia and Ferdinand Kuhl grabbed pole for the first race of the weekend, closing 1 point on their main rivals. Milan Doncia starts the race, but as we get the start, you can see immediately that his windscreen is covered by an oil spray. That's from the car on the left in the picture, the Radical RXC of Henk Thees. Overfilled oil tank likely to be the problem there. He has a good start though, gets a good lead on the GTB field as they go 3 wide behind. Marcel van Berlo in the blue and white Porsche, then Vard Slice in the BMW Silhouette. You can see the smoke and the oil haze coming off the back of that Radical. And the Radical goes back in front of the leader. Battle for second place, Marcel van Berlo, Vard Slice right behind, and Strubben goes the long way round the outside as van Berlo gets held up behind the pole sitter. And that car's just been rebuilt, the BMW, after a hard crash in Palanga the weekend before the Gamma Racing Day. Dan Meyer 4th, Atkinson 5th in the Lamborghini. Atkinson heading into the pits. Drama the previous weekend at Zandvoort with brake failures. Seems to be a problem again for the man who lies 4th in the GTB title race.
It should have been a good race. Everybody was going well, everybody's on a pace. So it was shaping up nicely, and then brake pedal started going to the floor because the wheel bearing's moving, and then took out the speed sensors, and then everything else stops working as well. So yeah, shame.
Not a good race for Patrick Lamster either. They started in second, but in the first few laps dropped back 4 spots. Halfway through the race coming in for the pit stops, Milan Doncia still has the lead and sets the fastest race lap. And that means if Molinar and Lamster maintain their 5th place to the end of the race, they will lose the championship lead.
Iedereen heeft wel wat pech gehad daardoor.
Well, everybody's had trouble with the oil from Henk Thees. He sprayed all over the cars behind him. Unfortunately, I was right behind. My windscreen was completely covered in oil, couldn't see a thing. Missed a few braking points, went off the track because I was kind of driving blind. Luckily, no damage or any other problems, but we're miles behind now. We're 45 seconds or so behind the 4th place car, so it's not looking good. Have to see what we can do in this later stages of the race. There's another chance tomorrow. I hope it'll go better, because today it's all gone wrong. Well, a little bit of good luck comes their way as bad luck heads to Marcel van Berlo. One of the fastest parts of the track, a ball joint breaks in the suspension. No steering. The car loops into a frantic series of spins, and incredibly, he hits absolutely nothing, but he is out of the race. And that means that Donald Molinar moves up at least 1 spot. And he inherits another as Dan Meyer, 3rd in GTB, picks up a puncture and comes into the pits on the final lap, but he's not allowed to cross the finish line in the pit lane. So Molinar finishes in 3rd, limiting the damage to the championship. Ferdinand Kuhl says everything's going well. The race was perfect. Milan had great pace before the pit stops. Atkinson stopped with mechanical problems. Patrick going very slowly at the beginning. We were leading before and after the pit stops. All I had to do was keep up the pace, and it worked out great. With 3rd in the first race, Patrick Lamster and Donald Molinar keep the lead in the championship, but only 3 points ahead now of Milan Doncia and Ferdinand Kuhl are race winners. Vard Slice and Frederik Jonker finish in 2nd, but they're now 20 points adrift. And then on to the second race of the weekend, the big one on the Gamma Racing Day. The promo girls are in the paddock, thousands of fans finding a spot in the grandstands, and the drivers trying to keep cool in the sunny conditions. It's the only time in the season that the race is just 45 minutes, and that makes it more of a sprint affair. Pole sitter Jeffrey van Hooijdonk will start, hoping to open up a big lead. He and Nicolas van Dierendonk must remain stationary for more than 35 seconds, compared to Berry van Elk, who'll start from 2nd on the grid. Because of rotten luck at Zandvoort, Berry has almost no result second, and that should give him the advantage he needs to try and take his first race win, not just of the season, but of quite some time in the Mosler.
Ik ben benieuwd. Ik ben niet de allerbeste.
Well, we see what happens. I'm not at my best at the start. It's important to stay close to the leaders. Yesterday dropped a few places, got stuck behind Roger Graals, lost a little bit of time. Couldn't catch up with the leaders after pit stops, and this time I've just got to stay close to the podium. My goal is to hold on to second in the first corner and try and stay with the leaders. Henry Zumbrink is hot on the heels of Barry Van Elk in the championship. Zumbrink starts third in the Volvo. Both have had a lot of bad luck this season. They'll have to battle for the third place in the championship. Reigning Super GT champion Roger Graals doing better. He's still 9 points behind leaders Jeffrey Van Hooijdonk and Nicholas van Dierendonk. He'll start fourth in the SRT Viper GT3R. In the GTB class, everyone's aware of the 45-minute race and trying to wrong-foot their rivals, for example, by swapping drivers at the last minute before leaving the pre-grid, as Donald Molinar shows here, taking over from Patrick Lamster, and this is definitely a change.
Ja, we hebben geprobeerd door de korte race.
Because of the shorter races, Patrick, we're using a different strategy. Donald will stay out as long as possible and create a gap, hopefully. And hopefully I'll finish the race, and that'll make a difference. So fingers crossed. Suddenly there's a mechanic and the Davy Tech engineering team boss checking the Corvette's plug leads. Problems for Milan Doncia on the grid. When they warmed up the engine before the race, everything was fine, but now it's refusing to run properly. Well, they should be second on the grid in GTB. Jeffrey Van Hooijdonk on pole in his Corvette in Super GT. And Corvette motors all over the front row because the Mosler's got one as well of Barry Van Elk. Henry Zumbrink third. The Volvo's got a Corvette motor. Roger Graals with the Viper V10 alongside. So getting ready for the start of this unique 45-minute race. Pressure on even more than ever at the start. Barry Van Elk with the blue tail on the Mosler trying to pace alongside the Corvette through the get timber chicane and onto the straight. Ready for the change of lights, and away we go on board with Henry Zumbrink. And look around the outside, there goes Roger Graals in the Viper. Down the inside, the dark blue Volvo up into third. That's Max Cobalt. Roger Graals goes very wide. Cobalt in front of us. Through goes Henry Zumbrink. Barry Van Elk in fifth in the Mosler. Didn't make the start he wanted, did he? All arms and elbows. Van Hooijdonk pulls away out front. Cobalt second. Zumbrink under pressure from Roger Graals in the Viper, who went up to second and down to fourth in 2 turns. Bumper cam with Barry Van Elk, 5th place in the Mosler, 6th, and leading in GTB, Donald Molinar. You can see the white and black bottom half of his Porsche. And then Simon Atkinson in the Lamborghini around the outside. They're queuing up to get by the white Corvette. That's Noel Kohler in the Phantom Super GT car. We're on board with Marcel Berlo down the inside in the Porsche. He moves up to 3rd in GTB. And the Corvette back down to 4th. The white Corvette there, that is your leader Jeffrey Van Hooijdonk ahead of Max Cobalt and Henry Zumbrink in the Volvos, then Roger Graals and Barry Van Elk, then the GTB leading white and black Porsche of Donald Molinar, Simon Atkinson second in the Lamborghini. Looks like the Corvette is holding everybody up. We're in 6th place in GTB with Dan Meyer right behind Frederick Jonker, whose BMW is skating all over the road. Look, no grip at all at the back there, drifting out very wide indeed. Porsche driver having a good nibble there, really looking to try and get by. I'm not sure the BMW's tyres are really doing it any favours at the moment. The Porsche having to back off the throttle. He's running up behind Jonker so quickly. Through the long, fast left at Ramshoek, and then up to the get timber chicane. And you can lose so much time through here. The BMW in far too deep, can't get on the gas on the way out. Dead in the water as Dan Meyer just breezes by in the Martini Porsche, change for 5th place in the GTB class. He takes it away from Frederick Jonker. It is all arms and elbows. They know they've got to get on with it. Dan Meyer keen to make progress. Well, stay with us after the break as we continue the second race of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli and the Gamma Racing Day, featuring the surprise denouement in GTB and Super GT right after this. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, and IDIS High Definition Surveillance Systems. Welcome back to the fifth round of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. We're at the TT circuit of Assen during the Gamma Racing Day, and in the second race of the weekend, pole sitter Jeffrey van Hooijdonk has the lead in Super GT, with Volvo driver Max Cobalt in second after a great start, and the second Volvo of Henry Zumbrink in third position, having passed Roger Graals in the SRT Viper. In GTB, engine problems mean Milan Doncha in the Corvette can't attack championship and race leader Donald Molenaar, and he loses 2 further places to Simon Atkinson's Lamborghini and Marcel van Berlo's Porsche. Jeffrey van Hooijdonk leads the race in the Corvette from the Volvos of Max Cobalt and Henry Zumbrink. Roger Graals fourth in the Viper, Barry Van Elk, and then Henk Tace there in the Radical, sixth in the Super GT class. Henry Zumbrink piling the pressure on for second place. Identical Corvette engine Volvo of Max Cobalt in front, runs a little wide in the first of the 2 right-handers at the far end of the track, and through he goes. Change for second place. The Viper and the Corvette engine Mosler, 4th and 5th place, chasing hard. Battle of very different cars. The Viper with the big engine out front, the Mosler mid-engined. It's got a Corvette motor, just like the car that leads the race, and the 2 Volvos to the second and third. And having a look down the inside, Barry Van Elk said before the race he wanted to stay with the pole man, but he got mugged at the start. Now he's having to work extra hard to try and retake those places. Oh, trouble in front, cars off. Big save from Barry Van Elk. He's going to come back on inside Max Cobalt, and that'll make him in third, leaving Cobalt to deal with Roger Graals 4th and 5th. There's a Porsche off there as well. That's the GTB car of Dirk Schultz, I think. So there's something down at Osnabrücken. Meanwhile, Roger Graals trying to go the long way round at the Timmer chicane. Surely not. No, he doesn't get by. Max Cobalt hangs on to 4th. Mandatory pit stops. Barry Van Elk with 5 result seconds, leading Corvette of Van Dierendonck and Van Hooijdonk with 40, Henry Zumbrink 45 and Roger Graals 60. And all of that after the stops leaves Barry Van Elk as the race leader by a narrow margin over the Corvette. Henk Tace in third, Paul Stoffel 4th here, ahead of Henry Zumbrink, who dives through on the inside. He stopped and got by the car that was started by Max Cobalt. Henk Tace getting by on the inside of Nicolas van Dierendonck for second place. He gets eased off wide by the BMW Z4 Silhouette, and around the outside comes Henry Zumbrink. He moves up into third place in Super GT. Zumbrink with great speed out of Strubben and 200 horsepower more than the Radical goes by on the Feinslang for second place. And that leaves the Corvette struggling down the order. But a Corvette engine wins in the Mosler. Barry Van Elk claims his first win not just of this season, but his first since August 2012 at Zandvoort. Roger Graals picked up a drive-through penalty but ended up ahead of Nicolas van Dierendonck. Good news for him and for the championship, as Henry Zumbrink and Henk Tace complete the podium behind our happy winner, Barry Van Elk. And of course, with a big crowd, a little bit of showing off as well.
Ja, nee, top.
Well, Barry's perseverance pays off. He said it's wonderful. We finally pulled it off. It was close though. I think it was running low on fuel and the tyres were gone, but we made it, and that's what matters. So thank goodness. Well, Barry Van Elk keeps third place. The Corvette still leads the championship. But for the Mosler driver, it's a big day. A huge crowd and the first win in nearly 3 years. In the GTB class, Donald Molenaar, starting in the championship-leading Porsche, had the lead from Simon Atkinson's Lamborghini and Marcel van Berlo third in the Porsche. Milan Doncha was in 4th place in the Corvette, struggling, it seems, with an ignition problem ahead of Dan Meyer in his Porsche. Meyer gobbled him up down the straight. Change for 4th place, the Porsche ahead of the Corvette, and the Race 1 winners looking like they were going to struggle to repeat the performance in Race 2. The car handling well enough, but just seemingly not producing the performance that they had in Race 1. And that'll be worrying for the team. They checked all the plug leads, the igniters, before the start of the race. But still, the Davitech engineering machine does not seem to be on the pace in Sunday's 45-minute encounter. Fredrik Jonckere in 6th position in the BMW Z4 Silhouette. The Corvette even sounds okay, but Ferdinand Kuhl there knows he's got a tough stint ahead of him. And it's not made any easier when Milan Doncha carries too much speed into Ruskenhoek, overshoots the braking point, and Fredrik Jonckere in the BMW comes straight by. Bob Herbert in the AMG Mercedes once more this weekend is all over the back of him, heading up to De Bolt. And through goes the Mercedes. And although Milan Doncha counters on the next lap, retaking that place, clearly the Corvette is struggling. After victory on Saturday, they close the points lead, but it now looks as though it may well open up once more in favour of the Porsche duo. More action in front of them on board with Dan Meyer in the Martini Porsche going down the inside of Noel Kohler's Phantom SF11. Gets it a little bit wrong into the chicane and loops it around. And that is going to cost him time and 4th place. So he tries to get going once more. However, he is making a bit of a pig's ear of this. Not exactly the place to be putting on a donut demonstration. Stalls the car as well. Absolutely furious with himself. After dropping out on Saturday, Marcel van Berlo again in car trouble. Yesterday everything was going like clockwork. The rear suspension broke. I spun towards the tyres. Luckily I didn't hit anything. No further damage, but that was the end of race 1. And today a drive belt snapped, I think. The engine started overheating, so I just switched it straight off, and that was the end of race 2 as well. Double trouble, unfortunately. Donald Molinar comes into the pit lane in his car with a big lead. Can Patrick Lamster hold the leading position in the final 15 minutes and claim victory to extend their championship lead? Donald says Patrick just needs to hang on with all he's got when the Lamborghini closes. The Corvette, they're our biggest rivals. They had some problems at the beginning. Seems to be solved though. They're miles away, but yesterday we had the same problem and we got onto the podium because of problems for our rivals, so anything can happen. Simon Atkinson, 2nd place after the pit stops, runs into trouble with a puncture. Backdraft Motorsport team managed to replace the wheel in time to keep him in 2nd place, but the wheel is still rubbing on the bodywork as he leaves, and he has to drop his pace dramatically. And that brings Vard Slice into the equation. As the BMW Z4 Silhouette driver closes and closes, Atkinson is powerless to defend, trying to keep his damaged tyre alive, and through goes the BMW. Well, that battle rages all the way to the checkered flag, but some way behind the 2013 GTB champion Patrick Lamster, who wins his 1st race of the season, sharing with pro driver Donald Molinar. Vard Slice hangs on to 2nd ahead of the Lambo of Simon Atkinson by just 1/10 of a second at the line as they dice for the final 2 podium spots. But in the end, ahead of Atkinson, Vard Slice and Fredrik Jonckere, Donald Molinar and Patrick Lamster.
Ja, dat is gewoon geweldig. Onze strategie heeft super gewerkt.
Amazing, says Patrick. Our strategy worked out really well. Donald was extremely quick, built up a good lead, 20 to 25 seconds. All I had to do was get in the car and finish it off. Of course, we've had good luck on our side again today when the Lamborghini ran into trouble. Otherwise, I think there's no way I could have kept it behind me. Hopefully Lady Luck will keep smiling on us. We scored our 1st win of the season now, taking good points. We're still the points leaders. I'm not sure by how much, but I'm very happy anyway. Well, he's right. Nothing has changed in the order. Lamster and Molinar have extended their lead, though, over the Corvette drivers. Slice and Jonckere have also closed to the Corvette pair in 2nd spot. Well, that's it for our Super GT and GTB cars. Next time out, we return to the Gamma Racing Day for a full report on the Super Sport and Sport classes, round 5 of the series at the TT Circuit of Assen. We'll see you then. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, autosportinsurance.com, and IDIS High Definition Surveillance Systems.